What is up, everybody? Today we're going to talk about the Finis Tempo Trainer Pro. It's this device here. A number of you out in the field have asked me how I use it, what is it actually, and how I recommend my athletes that I coach use it in the field. So it is a metronome, small key fob sized device. It's just battery powered. It comes with I don't think I have it with me right now, but it comes with a little clip that's supposed to clip to your strap in your goggles. But I don't really recommend this because that little clip slides around a lot. So take the clip off and stick it in your swim hat. Okay. It's powered on with one of the three buttons here. I use the bottom right button. That turns it on. He says. I have it set for mode 3, and we're going to talk about mode 3 only at the moment. So what is it? It is a metronome for swimming. You listen to it while you're in the water. You can hear it quite well. It just beeps away, and it's one of those essential tools I think you should have in your kit bag. Okay, why is that? So, you know, as triathletes, we tend to gravitate towards a lot of bits of kit. Everybody likes their kit. But this particular device is really good for you to maintain a certain stroke rate. What is your stroke rate? Stroke rate is the amount of times that your arms move in 60 seconds, okay? Where do you see that? Where do you see it on your technology that you're using? If you are a swimmer and you don't use a watch, then some of this may go over your head, but you can use it manually, okay? So what we have is, depending upon the ecosystem that you're using, you can be using Strava, Garmin Connect, Training Peaks. So we'll look at and focus on Training Peaks at the moment. In Training Peaks, when you finish a swim session, depending upon the device that you use, and if it's recording these things, you will see a field for stroke rate. Now, what that does is that it records only one arm cycle per minute. So, for example, you might see a STRK figure of 27 strokes per minute. And this will just indicate that you are, your left arm is moving 27 strokes per minute. That will be for the whole session, and that will record this throughout your 45 minutes, hour and a half of training. So that will include things such as breaststroke, if you're doing sprint sessions, endurance swimming. It includes an average of all of those figures. So what do we see here? Okay, we're talking about mode 3. So I'm going to turn it back on again. So by default, you will have it set at 60 strokes a minute. Turn it off again. So you turn it off by hitting the two buttons on the bottom, and that turns right off. So as I said, you will see an average of 27 strokes per minute on Training Peaks, which you extrapolate to 54. But again, the problem there is that it is showing that for the whole workout. What you need to do is to go into a set where you're doing either a CSS test, a 400 to 200 meters, you know, that particular block, or if you are swimming a long endurance set where you're swimming 400s or 800s, if you could look at the average of those figures, that'll give you a good idea what your average stroke rate is at any given time. So let's say, for this instance, we're going back to the 54 54 strokes per second. So we need to take the left button here and reduce that figure from 60 to 54. Okay, so what is this all about? This gives us an idea of what that average stroke rate is, but is this optimum? Is this an optimum stroke rate? Is it too easy? Is it too hard? The best way to test this in my protocol that I use is about 4 times 50 meters as part of a main set to test out an optimum stroke rate. So what you will need to do is do your normal warm-up, do a good warm-up of, let's just say 4, 3, 2, 1, which you're doing a front crawl, breaststroke, backstroke, fly, some drills, a bit of kicking, just to make sure that you're nice and warmed up, and then take on a set of 50s, as I said, 4 times 50. And the first one, apply the 54 strokes per minute and record the time. Look at the time when you finished it. If you find that that was low in comparison to what you normally swim at 50, then obviously that figure is probably too low for you. So my view is that you need to slowly increment the number of strokes per minute by 2. So again, going back to the interface again, we're at 54. We just need to push the button on the right-hand side twice, and then stick it back in your cap and do another 50 and record that time. If your time is dropping, let's say you started with 50 and now you have gotten around 48, 47, then you know that by increasing the stroke rate, you have found that you are at a point where you're still improving with a higher stroke rate. So that higher stroke rate is more efficient for you. So my view is you increment every 2 to a point where you plateau. If you are at 47 and you increase it to, if you increase that stroke rate from 56 to 58, and you still are dropping time, then you're still making positive impact on that stroke rate from increasing that stroke rate. If, however, you get the same time by increasing your stroke rate to 58, from 56 to 58, and it plateaus and you're still doing 47 seconds, then it makes no difference if you increase that stroke rate to improve your times. So that 56 then would be your sweet spot. So it also, if you increase it again to, let's say, 60 strokes per minute, so you've taken the protocol where you're doing a set of 4 50s, so the first being 54, where you, let's say you swam 50 seconds. The second one, where you have hit 56 strokes per minute, and hit around 47. And then the third one, again, you hit 47 seconds with a stroke rate of 58 strokes per minute. So there's no change. And what's interesting is if you increase that to 60 strokes per minute, and then your time drops off, then you actually have identified where you are inefficient with your stroke. So it's either that the increase of stroke rate is adds no speed to your overall average speed, or it has the fourth set has a negligible impact, where a negative impact where it actually your time start dropping or increasing. So what I'm saying here is the use of this device will give you a chance to find where that sweet spot is by setting up a certain stroke rate that is set for you, where you have a good idea that the average stroke rate will set you to more of an optimum speed. Okay, so where does this get us? So how do I train with this? What's really great is that now that you have an optimum stroke rate, you could work on getting faster by lengthening out your stroke, perhaps putting more power into that stroke, and stay at that stroke rate to work on that particular stroke rate, and suddenly you start seeing your times drop. So what it's all about is a more of an efficient stroke. So how do you make your stroke efficient? Of course, that'll be the next video. But the idea is we use this device to measure these things, measure your average stroke rate, but you could also use it during your workout. So if you have let's say a long pull set where you start your mind starts drifting, that's kind of when I like to use it, where if you're doing 500 meters pulling, when you do that, sometimes your mind drifts, or if you're not even looking at your watch, you realize at the end, wow, that was a slow 500. Well, how did that happen? And then you look at the data afterwards and you say, wow, this stroke rate was pretty low. So what happened is I lost concentration, and I wasn't thinking about, I wasn't concentrating on my stroke rate. So having this going on, having this little tempo trainer going on, it trains your mind. It also trains you in such a way where you just don't even have to think about it. It bleeps away. Your arms are following along with the actual beeps, and you maintain a good average speed and stroke rate. So you can use it that way. Another way is, let's just say you have found that average stroke rate is good for you for an average, so for a good endurance swim. But let's just say you want to do some sprint sets. Well, you can use this also for your 25s and 50s. Just increase that stroke rate by 2 to 4, and then you can power through without having to think about how much faster you should be going. And you can use it in that respect. That's an interesting way of doing it. There are 2 other modes that we will talk about on another time, but the primary use that most triathletes will use is the mode 3, as I mentioned before. So give this a try. Give me some comments in the bottom of this discussion, and let's see how you get on with it.